Hi guys, this is Miss Hathaway with Dividing Up with Miss Hathaway Part 2. So we're still talking about the standard 2G3 partition circles and rectangles into 2, 3, or 4 equal shares. We also describe the shares using the words halves, thirds, half of, a third of, a fourth of, fourths, quarters, and we also talked about describe the whole as 2 halves, 3 thirds, 4 fourths. We'll also explain the equal shares of identical whole need not have the same shape. So I will also have linked my previous video if you have any questions. So let's talk about partition. So how do you partition? Remember, a partition just means dividing that shape. So here we have an example of equal shares. The yellow lemon is divided equally. But if you look at the lime green lemon, the non-example, the shares are not equal. And we also want to look at the size. Fewer parts, larger size. More parts, smaller size. So make sure you keep that in mind. So let's review. We have partitions and we're going to label each shape. So here's an example. Split the shape into 4 equal parts and label each part. Then you'll take the shape, you'll divide it into the equal parts. So now let's look at the example. They took the circle and divided it into 4 equal parts. So we have 4 equal parts. So that's fourths. So 1/4, 1/4 plus 1/4 plus another 4 will give us a whole. So let's look at number 1 through 5. Number 1, it says split the shape into 8 equal parts and label each part. Number 2, split the shape into 6 equal parts and label each part. Number 3, split the shape into 2 equal parts and label each part. Number 4, split the shape into 3 equal parts and label each part. And number 5, split the shape into 6 equal parts and label each part. So I would suggest you pause this video and give yourself a chance to see if you can solve them on your own before I show you what I had. So this is what I had. Number 1 is divided into eighths. Number 2 is divided into 6. And number 3 is divided into 2 equal parts, which is a half. Number 4 is divided into thirds. And number 5 is divided into sixths. I want you to really look at this half. When it says 2 equal parts, think of it like a pizza. I want to be able to each of us have an equal part. Same thing with the 6. It's like a candy bar. I want each of us to have an equal piece. Eighths, I will also think of it like a pizza. Thirds, I would think of it like a candy bar as well. Excuse me. Example time. Try. Look at each of these shapes and you can see that each one is colored. I want you to pause and give yourself a chance to see if you can solve. Then we're going to go through each one. Let's look at the first one. What part of the shape is colored? So I want you to keep in mind what the question is asking you. It says colored. So there's only one square colored, correct? Right? So let's see how many squares we have in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we have 1 out of 4 colored, so 1/4. Let's look at the next one. We have a circle here. What part of the shape is colored? So we have 2 pieces colored, but there are 1, 2, 3 pieces all together. So that's how we get 2 thirds. Now let's look at this one right here. What part of the shape is not colored? Keyword, not colored. Well, I only see one part right here, not colored, out of 1, 2, 3. So 1 out of 3 parts are not colored. Now let's look at this square or rectangle. What part of the shape is colored? Well, I see one section This section is not, but there are 2 sections. So 1/2. Let's look at this one right here. What part of the shape is not colored? Remember, not colored. This can be very tricky because if you're not paying attention, you'll overlook this key word, and it is also slightly bolded. So not colored, let's count. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3. How many pieces do we have all together? Let's count it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 3/4 not colored. Now, let's look at this shape. We haven't seen a shape shaded like this yet, but we do know it is a square, but it also has triangles in it. What part of the shape is colored? Well, we have 1, 2. But how many do we have all together? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 2/4. Now, you'll learn this as you go forward in your math. 2/4 is also the same as 1/2 because I know that this is the same thing as saying half of this shape is colored because it's 2/4. Or if I wanted to, I know that 2 goes into 2 one time, and I know 2 goes into 4 2 times. That's like saying I have 2 pieces, and each piece will give me a portion of that piece. These are my resources, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help. I'll see you next week.